When most people talk about The Simpsons, they usually point to the so-called Golden Age, somewhere between seasons 3 and 9, depending on who you ask. Those years gave us episodes that became cultural landmarks: Marge versus the monorail, Homer at the bat, Cape Fear. For many fans, that's where the story ends. Everything that came after is written off as a slow decline. But here's the thing: if you stopped watching the show after season 10, you've missed out on a lot. The newer seasons of The Simpsons are much better than their reputation suggests, and in some ways, they've even grown into something unique that the early classics never tried to be. Let me explain why. Go back and watch an early episode. Yes, the writing was sharp, but visually, it was rough. Today, the animation is smooth, cinematic, and bursting with details. Episodes like Barthood, a parody of Boyhood, or Holidays of Future Past aren't just funny, they're beautiful to look at. The characters are expressive in ways they couldn't be in the 90s, and that allows for more emotional storytelling. The old seasons were perfect for their time. But the world has changed. Smartphones, social media, streaming, political chaos. If The Simpsons had frozen in the 90s, it would feel like a museum piece. Instead, the newer episodes tackle today's culture. Sometimes it's clumsy, sure, but often it's surprisingly sharp. Episodes about data privacy, influencer culture, or even the streaming wars hit closer to home than we admit. In the early years, Homer was a lovable fool. By the mid-2000s, he often turned into a one-dimensional jerk version of himself. But in more recent seasons, the writers have steered him back toward being a caring, if flawed, father and husband. We've seen heartfelt explorations of Lisa's anxiety, Marge's struggles with purpose, and Bart's attempt to grow beyond being just the troublemaker. Episodes like The Clown Stays in the Picture or The Simpsons show that the writers can still balance humor with heart. The classic seasons broke boundaries: musical numbers, satire, parody. But the new seasons experiment in different ways. You'll find anthology episodes, genre parodies, and clever self-referential jokes that play with the fact that The Simpsons has been around for over 3 decades. Treehouse of Horror episodes in particular are still some of the most creative half-hours of animation on TV. From Elon Musk to Werner Herzog, the show continues to bring in fascinating guest voices. And while not every cameo lands, many of them work beautifully because The Simpsons now leans into surreal humor and self-awareness. Herzog as a grizzled neighbor? That's the kind of bizarre casting that only a modern Simpsons episode would pull off. Let's be honest, part of why many people dismiss modern Simpsons is nostalgia. We watched those early seasons when we were kids, when everything felt sharper and funnier. But comedy evolves, and so do audiences. If you rewatch the newer seasons with fresh eyes, without constantly comparing them to 1995, you'll notice how clever, layered, and even daring some of the storytelling is. There's also something to be said for sheer persistence. Few shows in history have lasted this long while still producing episodes that spark debate, memes, and laughter. Even if you think some seasons are weaker, the fact that The Simpsons can still surprise us in season 30+ is remarkable. I'm not here to argue that every new episode is a masterpiece. Some are forgettable. But the myth that The Simpsons died 20 years ago just isn't true. The show has reinvented itself multiple times, kept pace with culture, and occasionally delivered episodes that stand toe-to-toe with the classics. If you've written off modern Simpsons, I challenge you. Pick a handful of recent episodes: Holidays of Future Past, Barthood, The Clown Stays in the Picture. Watch them with an open mind. You might find yourself laughing, feeling a little nostalgic, and realizing that this show still has something to say. The Simpsons may not be the same as they were in 1993, but that's exactly why they're still worth watching in 2025.